Kafa, how to improve mental duration in 4-hour blocks. Okay, this is routine. Let's talk about routine, honestly. And I've always want to be talking about routine because routine is the biggest thing for OpenDiv players to be working on. I think, like, if OpenDiv players and teams work on their routine, it'll actually go far into, like, the maturity of the scene and, like, the longevity of the teams. The reason why OpenDiv teams are so volatile is because you have players burning out so easily. Especially when Overwatch is such a mentally draining game. It's one of the most mentally draining games in the industry. Because it's so fast paced, it's very like games like depend on the game sense and game knowledge. It can be it's really draining. It is. So let's talk about routine. Yep. And the reason why is because you guys don't have a proper routine. So there's a couple points we'll talk about. One is we'll talk about breaks first and foremost because Pliss brought it up in the first point. We'll talk about breaks. We'll talk about how do I put this? I want to say purpose. So we'll write that purpose slash progress. Maybe that's very scuffed. Breaks, purpose, and then individual maintenance. So these are the three pillars, and these are like the three pillars of individual and team routines that you must have. Every team must have this, right? Now, breaks, simply put, you want, if you're having a 2-hour block, you want to have 10 minutes in. You will get like lesser maps in. Maybe you sacrifice one map for 10 minutes. 5 minutes is not enough. You want 10 minutes in, but like in that hour mark. And you want a 10-minute break because you get your blood flowing, you can get yourself refreshed, you can get some water on your face. And by the way, I'm not joking, right? A chiropractor said this to me. That, and this is like an experiment that I did, right, with the chiropractor. I went to the chiropractor once and I was dehydrated. I had not had a glass of water that day. And it showed because my muscle movement was really poor, right? But as soon as I had the smallest ounce of water, like I had a glass of water, immediately my muscles were able to move a lot more. I was a lot more flexible, right? And she was saying, like, you do actually get like an increase of brain power from just having a glass of water instantly, right? So in your 10-minute break, you can definitely have a glass of water. I know it's common. It's like, it should be common sense to have drinks of water. Like, I shouldn't need to tell you guys to have a drink of water. Like, you can Google that. How to not mold. Drink water. Will be the first thing that comes up. But for real though, the science behind it is that you instantly get refreshed. Your brain power is like increased by 5%. I forgot the actual like percentage. Don't quote me on 5%, but I know that it's actually something like that, significant like that. There's like scientific terms like P.0.05, which is actually quite significant, but we're not talking about science here. Yeah, and it actually increases it by. That's a lot, right? So drinking water, big emphasis on that in the 10-minute break. And if you have these 10-minute breaks every hour, that's huge, right? You're keeping yourself consistent, right? Breaks are important. Get yourself some dinner before actually that's the third point. We'll bring it. Breaks. Get yourself a toilet. Stuff like that. Simple things you guys should already know. 5 minutes is not enough. You want 10 minutes in between hours. Purpose, the second point, purpose and progress. And what I mean by this is, as a team, what is your purpose? And as an individual, what is your purpose? Like, why are you scrimming? If you're not finding value out of these 4-hour blocks, then you don't do it. Like, if you don't have a goal for that scrim, don't scrim. If you don't have a if like let's say you don't have like this is why I'm so big on goal setting, right? If you as an individual like so cover, right? If you're heading into a scrim, a 4-hour block, and you're like, right, this first 2 hours, I'm going to work on. Sorry, dry throat. I need a 10-minute break. If I'm the wrestler, I'm going to be working on my bongo usage. If you tuned into my stream yesterday, we kind of talked about how to be using bongo and where to be using bongo, right? What's kind of the conditions involved with that, being dynamic with it. In the first 2 hours, you're going to work on that, right? As long as you work on that, you're focused on working on that part of your game, you're getting purpose out of it, and you'll feel achieved. You can track progress, and this in turn ties back into something that I'm a big fan of, which is motivation. If you're motivated, you'll find yourself enjoying scrims a lot more, and therefore your brain won't die like as much. Now, individual maintenance. Now, this is big. This is probably the most important bit of. Whoops. This is so important. Most important aspect in routine. Besides breaks is pretty important, but individual maintenance is important. And this comes down to, I guess we can just make like a little, subheading here, is posture. It comes down to diet, health. Comes down to sugar levels. Now, sugar levels is actually really important, and this simply means before a 4-hour block, get yourself like not sugar levels, potassium levels. So, posture. I'll talk about posture, diet, health later, but sugar and potassium levels are so important, right? Half an hour before you start a scrim, have a banana or avocado, because they have high potassium levels, which means you're going to have potassium's like your energy, right? It gives you energy. Potassium, you have prolonged energy. So for basketball, it's sport athletes. It's really important that they had it themselves. They ate a banana. I had a really healthy breakfast with potassium and a lot of potassium, and then it means you have sustained energy, and that can help you get through these 2-hour blocks initially. Right? It might only get you through the 2-hour blocks, but we'll talk about how to sustain it. And how you can sustain it is by getting yourself like those sour patch, the sweet, the first the sour one, like that, like just lollies, right? Just get lollies that have a lot of sugar in them, or even like a snake. Have a couple of snakes in between your breaks, right? That gets your sugar levels back up there, and you can sustain yourself for much longer. Yeah, I used to be a national runner, of course. Yeah, bananas are so important. Have a banana before in breakfast, even. Like bananas are so important for your mental health and for your ability to focus. And I've noticed myself a difference. Like when I was first coaching Mindfreak, staying focused and analyzing a scrim live is mentally draining, right? Watching VODs and it's like so draining. This is before I had bananas. I was struggling to get through without wanting to sleep. But now since I've had more bananas, I've had a lot of energy in these scrims, and I've been able to stay focused for a lot more, right? For a lot longer. So it's really important that you treat yourself to some lollies in between breaks, in between the blocks to get you going, to keep you going. So it's really important. That kind of ties into diet. Obviously, you want to stray away from like a lot of sugary drinks like Mountain Dew, as Parzo said, because that kind of, you can have energy drinks, but energy drinks kind of prevent you from naturally producing hormones that you need. It's like sleeping pills. If you have sleeping pills, you're going to have to end up being reliant on them, and you want your body to naturally produce the hormones. So that's kind of, yeah. You can have coffee if you want. If you like coffee, you can have coffee. Nothing wrong with that. Sulko has like 3 cups of coffee, even though I don't really recommend it, but he does have 3 cups of coffee sometimes. Come on, that's a 2 in a scrim block. Dude's insane. And posture is important. Right now, my posture is pretty poor actually, but you have, it's really good for your injury management. Stay straight, simple. You know, you don't want to be slouching over your keyboard because that can also provide that can really hurt your back. So yeah, again, it's really important to maintain yourself as an individual, and this is why coaching outside of the game is so important. This is why there's a big transition from specifically game knowledge coaches to also coaches that can coach outside the game. Sometimes coaching an official will hype me up, but then like Coke. Yeah, there's no. You can get that high from just bananas and sugar and lollies. So does that give you a decent outline, Kuffer? You can message me in Discord later if you want me to kind of set you up a an actual program, because I'll show you the Mindfreak program that we had. We'll go to my Twitter. I'll show you what we had in Mindfreak a season or two ago. Simple and outline game day program. I think this is it. So it's really simple, nothing too intense, literally simple. So this was this wasn't this season, this was last season, so it's quite outdated actually. We didn't have uptime to kind of deal with it, to update it. And this is something that I think I should have done better at bootcamp, because I think bootcamp was alright, but I think I could have done a better job with this. But you're flexing off his resume, mate. No, I'm showing something. So yeah, night before, this is a game day, right? So let's say we had a game day on Saturday. So night before, after scrim, we have cooldowns, we read over strategies, we kind of just make sure we're on the same page. Sleep time, get some good sleep into your game day. So wake up nice and early, treat your discipline. Yeah, so I suggest voluntary wakefulness state. You had breakfast. You can add banana avocado with coffee. Then you can kind of read over notes, and then begin when we're warming up. Before our actual warm up, just walk around the house, get your blood flowing. Just basic things, right? Yeah, just simple things. This is nothing too intense. It's really, really simple. Then we had a team meeting, halftime. Again, halftime, we make adjustments, go for a short walk, get some sugar into you. After the game, you can also do the same. So, one thing I also want to talk about is something that you guys don't have to do, but I just want to talk about it. But juggling with tennis balls after a game or after a scrim is actually underrated, because it's actually scientifically proven to improve your cognitive memory and your ability to actually stay focused, because it improves your hand and eye coordination. So if you want to improve your aim and your cognitive ability during games at a long period of time, doing cooldowns is so important. That's why if you go to a gym, that's why after a basketball game, is Nova still here? After your cross country thing, did you do any stretches? Same thing here. Cooldowns are so important. So that was a long segment on routine, probably a little bit too far, but hopefully that kind of gives you an insight of what a professional player should look to aim for. An open div player just rocking up to scrims. None of this is going to really struggle, especially with open div is so stressful open div.